Good morning, everybody. 3:30 came early this morning. Um, let's talk about the Lord's mercies because we all need those. In ancient Israel, the Ark of the Covenant represented the mercy of the Lord, a powerful truth that came to the embodiment of Christ. We are to receive His mercy, trusting in His saving blood, and be saved eternally. You can ridicule the law, mock holiness, tear down everything that God speaks of. But when you mock and ridicule God's mercy, judgment comes, and swiftly. If you trample on His blood of mercy, you face His awful wrath. Remember, we talked about the unforgivable sin is blasphemy against God. You can blaspheme anything else, but you cannot blaspheme Him and expect to go anywhere. Some people just don't understand that. My wife and I were talking about the fires here in South Carolina, and my nephew was up there working them in Greenville and Pickens County. 2 fires, 0% contained. Just praying that the Lord gives them some help. Rain, changed the winds, whatever. The winds were pretty bad yesterday. But I had a flashback to whatever the award show was, and they were on there mocking God. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like the people 500, God 0, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. It was like the Golden Globes or something. And about a week later, the fires broke out in Los Angeles and burned thousands upon thousands of acres, millions of dollars worth of homes burned. But this brings me back to that. Judgment comes, and swiftly. He will not be mocked. The fear of the Lord is a very real thing. I fear Him. You should. It's not trembling fear. It's not cowering in the corner. It's not having a conversation with Him type fear. Oh, no, I don't want to say anything because I'm going to get slapped down. It's fear of the Lord of what He can do. Remember, we said yesterday, fear the one who has the power over the second death. The fleshly death doesn't really matter. If you know, if you're right and you're doing what you're supposed to, you shouldn't have any fear over the first death. Fear over the people that have the power of the second death, and that's God. That's the Father. That is what happened to the Philistines when they stole the ark. Deadly destruction came upon them until they admit this isn't just chance. God's hand is clearly against us. Consider what happened when the ark was taken into the heathen temple of Dagon. To mock and challenge Israel's God in the middle of the night, the mercy seat on the ark became a rod of judgment. The next day, the idol Dagon was found fallen on his face before the ark. Its head and its hands were cut off. That comes from Samuel 5, 2 through 5. You will not put any other God before God, the one true God. Idolatry is a scary, scary thing. I saw an article yesterday that I need to do a video on, and it was down in Florida, and they had made these drone swarms that they make pictures in the sky with and stuff. They had made one of Donald Trump, created an idol, hung $100 bills on it, and said, "In Trump we trust." That is a scary, scary way to go. And people don't realize it. Everybody's just kind of all the Trumpies are just kind of shut down and Trump's in office and we're good to go and we don't need to prep anymore. You know, God's got us. God give us Trump. We're trusting in Trump. You better trust in the Father, because he is the only way to get through any of this stuff that's coming. Trump is not going to help you. Trump is not coming to your house. The government is not coming to your house. Ask the people with the fires, where's the government? Where's FEMA? Where were the FEMA when Hurricane Helene came through our area? Came right through our area that we live in. Right through our family's area up in the upstate. Those people in North Carolina. FEMA wasn't nowhere to be found until a week later. They never showed up here. Except to pass out some water. All who want to bring Christ's church under the power of secular and agnosticism will be judged. Jeremiah says, through the Lord's mercies we are not consumed, because his compassions will not fail. That comes from Lamentations 3:22. God will not fail you, ever. He may not give you what you want, but he will give you exactly what you need if you ask him. When men make a mockery of God, say that again, when men make a mockery of that great mercy which is Christ, judgment is sure. God will not be mocked, period. Only the mercy of the Lord delays judgment, and right now our society is benefiting from that mercy. The book I'm reading from was written quite a few years ago by David Wilkerson, and it still holds true today. Incredibly, our country is in a race to remove God and Christ from society. Lord will not be mocked. The Lord will not be mocked. But he has shown mercy on this nation. I believe that is why he is still pouring out blessings on us. We have a restrainer on this land. We have a restrainer. When that strainer is lifted, for lack of a better term, all hell is going to break loose. And I don't care who the president is. I don't care who's in charge. When God lifts his hands off, it's on. And you better be steadfast in what you're doing. You better be squared away at that point. And I'm not talking about in preps. You better be squared away with the Lord. This is not about you. It's about your relationship with the Father who sits in the seat. And until we get all the other stuff gone, none of it matters. We are not to despair of the present conditions in America. We may grieve over the powerful corruption, mockery, and sin, but we have hope, knowing that God is full control and he is merciful. He's extremely merciful. Very merciful. If he wasn't, this nation would have been wiped out long ago. You know, they always say that we were founded on Christian principles. And in some aspects, that's true. In some aspects, that is not true. Washington, D.C. is not laid out, nor was it founded on Jesus's principles, or God's principles, or holy principles, or whatever adjective you want to put in there. It was laid out for idol worship. And we can do a whole history lesson on that, which probably I should, because it was not laid out on Jesus's principles. It was like, oh, we're a Christian nation. I believe we were at some point. But George Washington himself was was not a Christian. Now, I know some of y'all are like, oh, you're wrong and that's not true. No, that's very true. He was a deist. He was very much a deist. He admitted that in his writings. The Lord is very merciful, even to those who don't deserve it. And we do despair over the present conditions in America. We grieve the corruption, the mockery, and the sin. And if you don't, you need to go talk to the Lord. Go talk to God through his son, Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. And that's what I'm trying to get across, is God is merciful, but there's going to be a point where his mercy runs out. And he's like, okay, I done had enough. I mean, he let the Israelites roam the desert in the wilderness for 40 years before he finally took them to the promised land, to their promised land. He let them wander for 40 years. And he did it on purpose. They got into idol worship. They broke every commandment he had. They complained constantly. Nothing was good enough. Why did you bring us out of here? We were better off in captivity in Egypt. I mean, it was ridiculous. When if they'd have just done what he said, he would have taken them there relatively quickly. As quickly as that many people can move. But the Lord does have limits. But right now, he has a whole lot of mercy and forgiveness. Go find that forgiveness in your life. Go find that mercy. We all need it. We all can't survive without it. Find Jesus. He's the only way. Go find him, open the door, and let him in. I hope y'all have a great day. I'm going to go work out. Y'all keep your head on the swivel. We'll talk to you tomorrow.